Do you feel emotionally connected to your plants? As if in the process of caring for them, they as well are caring for you? What about planty DIYs and thrifting for plant items? If I have your attention, then the Plants by Wade Lee podcast is for you. Join me, plant friends, as we dig deep and experience the magic of plants. Hey everyone, welcome to the Plants by Wade Lee podcast. I am so excited to have Cyril from Cyril Cybernated on Instagram. You probably know and love him very well with all of his amazing plant decor reels, anything planty from AI. I love this AI, especially like the Met Gala. We should have seen these kind of looks walk the Met Gala carpet, and I was just like, snoozer. But the AI ones that you created were amazing. Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started with plants, and then how you created what is now Cyril Cybernated.
Okay, first of all, thank you, Wade, for inviting me to join your
Of
podcast.
course.
Honor, and of course, every opportunity for me to talk about my plants and how or why I love plants is always welcome. So basically, I grew up in a tropical country. I'm Filipino, so I grew up with plants all around me. Both sides of the family have farming backgrounds. Both my grandmas and even my grandpas have always have this inclination with plants.
Yeah.
So when I moved to the Middle East before for work, I started loving cacti and I had a few in our balcony. And when I moved here in California in 2018, that's where I thought oh, hey, you know what? It's time to restart collecting plants again. And of course, it stemmed from a vacation in Thailand. I saw a monstera. I wanted a monstera. I posted it on Instagram before that, I wanted to have a monstera in my house. And after my birthday or during my birthday, I was like, you know what? Let me look for a monstera. So we started looking for it locally, couldn't find some, and then apparently the last thing that you'd think of, Amazon has some monsteras, and that's where I
Uh-huh.
ordered mine in 2018. And that's when I completely changed my Instagram from, the usual personal Instagram, posting food, travel, what you wear, or gathering with friends, into a plant niche. Like people asked me to share how I did some DIYs, and I just focus on, sharing my love for plants since moving to California back in 2018. Since then, I grouped plants together, like family portraits, and that's how I feel like I've been known for, plant family pictures. And then I would like to like take a photo of them in themes, so all pink plants or all plants in white planters, all snake plants, etc. And it progressed to my constant, I guess, need or constant expression of how I perceive things,
Yeah.
more into a planty direction, I guess. Of course, it's also sprinkled with my other interests. Like a recent one in the last year and a half is AI. So, in the past, I would always buy materials, sketch them, make them. But now with AI, it allows me to give that visuals to people without really costing a lot. And
Right.
to
Right.
me, it also doesn't just limit me with what I could do using my hands or what I could draw. AI just gives me that, I guess, extra level of creativity. I know a lot of people are kind of torn if AI is beneficial or it's detrimental to artists. And I consider myself as an artist, and I would like to use it more of as a tool that will empower me, not really to steal someone's creativity, but more of another level of me expressing myself.
Right. Yeah, I'd love it. I think also it's so important to you that the visuals of your living room are not AI. Those things during Christmas and all that, that is your masterwork of decor. And is that, do you have a background in interior design?
No, I don't. So
No.
I'm gonna pick up my cat because she started.
Aw. Well, you
I'm
have
sorry.
two cats, right?
Well, I used to have three, but yeah, last year my other cat passed due to
Oh, I'm
a
sorry.
what do you call an autoimmune disease. So I'm glad I'm more relieved that she doesn't have to suffer anymore. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
only this one that's Monsoon that's left.
Mm.
Anyways, going back to your question, yes. Yes, I consider myself as a creative all along, all throughout my life. Really, my mom really. Now that it's Mother's Day, I'd like to give credit that she has always like equipped me with the tools and allowed me to express myself, be it in traditional arts, visual arts, mixed media, because she is an artist herself and a crazy plant lady as well.
Oh, she is. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it is. And then, yeah, with Christmas, it always stems from, well, what I saw in the department stores. And she's always like the traditional lady who likes the multicolored Christmas tree. And now that, I get, we're always just like children who have a little bit of more money. And we never really outgrow our childhood fantasies. So now that we're adults, we continue to pursue life with a little bit more financial funding, I guess, and allows us to express that. So,
Totally.
no, I don't have any interior background. But I did want to pursue interior design when I was still looking into some um, what do you call courses for college.
Yeah.
Course as in a growing up in a typical Filipino household, they would always encourage you to pursue something in something traditional like oh go be a nurse. Like of
Right,
course
right.
like
Yeah.
Filipinos are nurses, and they always thought that pursuing something more creative is not gonna be like a road to success. But now, looking back, I always, well, I am still thankful that they equipped me with whatever they needed me to be equipped with. But
Right.
now I'm thankful that I have a platform to express myself, and hopefully, a few years down the line, I still get to express myself and cultivate that want to get
Yeah.
better at design or let people see my vision of how I perceive things.
How many plants do you have in your jungle?
I haven't counted
Yeah.
honestly, but just with like the rough number, I don't know. I'm for sure over 200.
Yeah.
My personal problem is that I don't stick to a certain genus. Like I see certain plants beautiful in a particular genus and I collect them. I like a little bit of monsteras, alocasias, anthuriums, um, Hoyas. I have a lot of them. I still love my cacti and succulents, so
I
that
was
brings
gonna
me back.
say the pink succulent that you just got is so beautiful.
Uh,
The really little one, and then I don't know if you just got it, but I recently saw that reel of it's like this beautiful pink shade of succulent.
I think that's the Gymnocalysium, which is like a variegated cactus with more like pinkish variegation. So yeah, a friend of mine told me a year ago exactly that, oh, I got this new Gymnocalysium from a plant market, and only this year did I see them in person, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what she was talking about. I'm pretty sure that I looked it up the moment that she told me about it, but seeing plants in person really has a different convincing power, I guess.
Yeah.
Plus the combination of a good deal, it wouldn't.
Do you have a background in botany?
Well, growing up, like the high school that I went to is a science high school. So we had like three sets of chemistries, three sets of science. I mean, chemistry classes, sciences. So it's really scientific focused. However, like I don't feel like the curriculum really contributes to what you do, but it's more of my interest. So now that I like plants, I see it like I'm sure a lot of people could relate that all you see is plants. Like whenever you're in home goods, you really focus on like, oh, what are nice vases or planters that I could use for? Or like even if you're in a glassware section, you'd be like, oh, this will be a good propagation vessel. So that just, I mean, your interest would really overcome your life. I mean, overtake whatever you see in life. And I feel like that's what happened to me. Plus, just being a little more creative like your mind is always like thinking of ways to express yourself, or like, oh, let's say you just go to Dollar Tree and you see this usual thing that people see it as, that like as a vessel, but like because like Instagram really inspires me visually, like that's why it's my platform of choice, because you really see artists, you really see people, I mean, how they express themselves, and that is
Right.
also very inspiring to me. That's what I want my content to reflect, to inspire people to like see things in a different perspective. Like, yes, some things would be costly, but your imagination could also like level those up. Like, yes, some people could afford like $150 planter, but you could always, put a little twist to it, like broke bitch style, like,
Right. I love that broke bitch style.
yeah, just a little imagination goes a long way. Like I always say, like, oh, this DIY is probably just paint to you, but a little bit of paint, industrial glue, and just seeing like shapes and then combining them would make you achieve that $150 vase or planter. So yeah, I haven't had any formal education, but I like to um I guess what's the best term? Like I like to keep myself updated with like trends by, looking them up, or just the algorithm helps a lot, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
things that you like, they already suggest more, so you don't really have to put in more effort to do your research. I mean, social media is really feeding you with whatever you want to see, and most of the time things that you don't even want to see. So it's
Right.
just a matter of like, getting what you need to get from that exposure.
Yeah. What is your favorite plant in your collection?
Right now, I just recently got like a variegated billietier, philodendron billietier, and I mean, 2018 me would never imagine that I would have it. I mean, it's really like, one, I don't spend a lot of money on plants, but something that I really like wanted. It was such a
Yeah.
good deal. It was at the end of a plant market, and I can't believe that nobody got it. So I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna treat myself. I've been so good the past few months. I got earned a little bit of plant budget the past few weeks.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. It's super yellow. I actually could see it right now as we speak. So let me just pull
Yeah. Yeah.
for people to see it as
Yeah.
well.
I would love to see it.
Okay, so I just recently replanted it. So it's a philodendron
Oh.
billietier, a variegated one. So it's super yellow. I call them Billy Yellowish.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Super yellow
Billy Yellowish.
variegated. It wasn't rooted when I got it,
Gorgeous.
but it had a lot of aerial roots. And now we're starting to see like the oldest leaf turn brown, but it's putting out a new leaf. I'm not so hopeful that this one would look normal per se, because when, cut up plants and then they start rooting, the energy is towards putting out more roots and the leaves
Yeah.
would, but the genetics is really good, and as you can see, like visually, it's such a standout amongst all the greens that I have in my collection.
Yeah. It's gorgeous. When you purchase these rare, more expensive plants, is there like a medium that you go to, or is there like a routine? Like, do you put them in self-watering containers? Like, what kind of things do you do to maintain the beauty of that plant?
So my go-to ritual is, well, most of my collection, I would say like 90% of them are in self-watering or semi-hydroponic or passive hydro. So once I acquire new plants, I try to leave them as is for a few weeks or maybe a few days. And if they're not rooted, I would try to root them in pond or they choose a pond. Recently, in the past 2 years, I've also ventured into fluval stratum or stratum. Like I've also grown stuff in moss. However, my preferred medium really is like the pebbles with lechuza pine.
Yeah.
Um, I recently shared that I had a problem with fungus gnats, because that's the way that I am. I love to water my plants, and I've I mean I kept some of my plants in soil, and that's why I got fungus gnats.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
medium just doesn't work for me. So with inorganic and then self-watering, it allows me to overwater plants and it's more forgiving, and it also like allows the plants to kind of like thrive better with the way that I am as a plant parent.
Yeah.
And it's lower maintenance, which allows me more time to just play with my plants instead
Yeah,
of
and enjoy
water.
them. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. Um, I saw that you are affiliated with the Naked Root Planters.
Mm.
Have you? How has you liked using those planters?
So yeah, they recently sent me some of their classic packages. Actually, the variegated Billy that you just saw, I replanted that in a naked root planter just now,
Awesome.
few hours ago, because I was waiting for it to root, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really intrigued with the structure, so I do like that it publishes like 360 degrees of aeration, and that's really the principle of most of my self-watering planters as well. However, um, I feel like the design is a little bit better because it does promote more circulation and it does allow air to pass
Right.
through the planters with the way that they have like two of these side holes as well. So the past few weeks that I've had some of my plants in them, I have been loving it. I would like to give it like a few more months.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, with the plants that I've recently transplanted, like normally it's like a 50-50 with an anthurium. If I convert them in a self-watering planter and there's not enough circulation, they still wilt. And
Right.
that's start panicking, putting them in a humidity dome or something. However, the past few plants that I repotted in a naked root planter, they seem to be like doing well. I
Yeah.
haven't had that experience yet, but to be fair, it's fairly new. They just sent me more, which I'm glad to try out more. I would definitely repot some more of my anthuriums and some of the plants that I have.
Yeah. I asked because I recently, as well, probably 2 to 3 weeks ago, had received them as well, and I did. Palm Street, formerly the Plant Story,
Okay.
the plant auction app. I did my first plant sale last
Mhm.
night, and I have
Congratulations.
this Monstera Aria and this and this naked root pot,
Mm,
and they were like, "We want to see the roots," and I'm telling you, I was like, because I cut it like 3 weeks ago and just put it in there, and I'm
mm,
like, what if I left this out and the roots are rotted? Like this is
mhm,
live. Like, but I'm like, here
mhm.
we go. You asked.
Yeah.
And I was shocked. I was like, 2, 3 inches of roots, white, thick,
Mm,
beautiful. I mean, no leaf has dropped or turned weird or no browning. So
mhm.
so far so good. So, and I
Yeah.
saw that, so I thought I'd ask you because I saw that you had the affiliate link. So it's cool to know. I'll look forward to seeing what you think of it
Yes,
next
actually,
in the next couple
uh,
months.
like a video idea of like rating all the self-watering planters that I have. So I'm just giving it more time because the other designs I've definitely tried for at least a year and a half or two. But this one's fairly new and I wanna, add it to the mix and
Yeah.
start as well. So yeah, I mean I always like to that's what I wish. Like whenever I try out a product, I wish like I could get genuine reviews from people that really loves plants. Like I mean, yes, we see that on Amazon, but others are just like, some of the reviews are like so personal instead of like you want someone who has been using certain products for a time to be more, I mean,
Authentic and
yeah,
truthful.
authentic, viable, or actually someone whose perspective you really want to listen to.
Right.
So yeah, like that's why I like to venture into like putting in my own spin of how I would review stuff. Because if people would like it as well, then that saves them the trial process that I've gone through the past few years trying out different products that have or may have not worked for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to your cats. You have what kind of cats do you have?
So they are all Persian cats.
Oh,
It started with my spouse having an older like Persian cat, and we wanted to have more like company for them whenever we're out on vacation. And you have to match their personalities. So that's how we ended up getting more Persian cats. So the other one was 12, and then the one that we got was like 12 weeks old, and they were like old cat and then super young cat. So we had to get another one that matches the young one's energy. So now it's the youngest one that's left. However, like it's fun. Like if you want like cats or pets that are mellow, cats are so lazy. They rarely like mess with your plants because they're
Well,
so
and that's what I was going to ask you. I have two cats that are Russian blues. My one cat will eat a snake plant. Like, it's insane. I could never, ever. I got a beautiful Hoya one day. I'm like, I
uh-huh.
set it all up. I went and took pictures. The doorbell rang. I ran out. Like, literally 5 minutes later, that Hoya was everywhere. Like, chewed up. Yeah, I just was like, what in the heck? And I see your cats just like laying in the plants, and I'm like, really? Like, they don't even bother them?
When
That's
she was
amazing.
younger, I have a photo of her in like a console table that had a sign that says "Life is better with cats," and she was chomping on a snake plant, but she was only like she was 9 months
Yeah,
then. So
yeah,
I hope that, with age and a little desensitization might help, like
yeah,
once they see all the plans and they're accustomed to it, they get desensitized and they won't care. Also, it helps that, you keep those plants away from their reach. But I think with
yeah,
Russian blues, they're more athletic, right? So they could jump and
yeah, yeah. That's why we built this patio, like an enclosed patio, because
hmm
they can't come out here now. So yeah, I mean, it was insane. Like, I had cat gates and everything else at my place by the beach, and oh, but now we have a good relationship. I'm like, whatever,
yeah.
like, you can't come in here, so it's fine. But yeah, the cat struggle with plants, but I see it all the time. Like, my algorithm in on Instagram is like cat plants with cats. So it's like, wow, this really, like, people really have animals that just don't even care about the plants. I wish I
Yeah.
had one.
And they have it worse. Like some of their cats are digging into their trays inside their houses, taking number twos as well.
Yeah.
Others even have to go to the extent of like covering it with like a metal screen or something. So it could be worse. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah, you're right. It could be a lot worse. You live in the Silicon Valley. Are
Yes,
you a tech guy by
no,
trade?
not a
No.
tech guy. I work in healthcare, but yeah, this is the area where we like to be close, but not too close to the hustle and bustle of San Francisco. So it's just like a good midpoint of where we work and then where we want to be, and just it's like in a little quiet side of the Bay Area.
Yeah. When you plant shop, do you uh, like to be at a plant shop in real life, or do you also buy things online?
I do a little bit of both. So when there's plant shows or whenever I have the opportunity to visit a plant shop, it's almost impossible that I won't leave with a plant. Especially when I'm with my plant friends, because she'd be like, "Oh, go get that." I'm like, "Oh, I don't really need another tree in my house because we don't have space." But also, like the price is really good. I don't come across those type of plants real often. Or I got one that's this small like a few years ago, and it's still this small up until now. Also, I like to shop online because after a certain period of time, like the plants that you probably want are not available locally. I'm lucky that I'm in an area. You are very lucky that
Yeah,
you live
very
in
lucky.
guys. Yeah. But also where I am at in California, I'm lucky that there are so many plant enthusiasts around me. There's so many plant
Right.
shows, and they even sell on like Facebook Marketplace. I belong to certain plant groups as well, so I have a plethora of options. But when I used to live in the Central Coast, that's where most of my plants have to be ordered online.
Yeah.
Because I don't see them often in plant shops.
Hi, plant people. We're going to just take a quick break. I have a question. Do you love plants? Do you love plant auctions? Do you just love communing with plant people? Well, then join me and my husband Malcolm on the Palm Street app this Friday, May 31st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. At 8 p.m., we're going to be giving away a Monstera Thai Constellation baby. You don't want to miss it. Simply download the Palm Street app and search for Plants by Wadley live sale. See you then. Imports, you've done imports.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
I've
like,
never done an import yet, but I like see so many people. Yeah, my friend Lindsay, she is Planned Parenthood on Instagram. She bought this Hoya from Poland, and the box was like, and I was like just watching with bated breath while she was opening the box, and it was insane. It was gorgeous. Linea, the Hoya with the little green,
like
the
stringy,
Linea, I think it's called maybe.
like
Um,
not the Linares, right? Not the
linear.
string.
Yes, the linear. Yeah, long. Yeah, long, long, and
Mhm.
it was insane. And I was like, I've never bought in a plant from overseas, but you've had good experience as well.
Yes, most of them. I would say like 95%. So funny because I also imported a Linares from Poland circa 2018, 2019. My first import was a few Hoyas from Thailand, and then I also ordered from Poland, cacti and succulents. Italy has this good grower. Indonesia, of course, imports beautiful anthuriums. I tried importing from the Philippines, but the phytosanitary process is not so good. So that was a bust. And it
Yeah,
ended up with my brother, so he wasn't able to ship it to me. Um, yeah, like during my first year of gathering plants, I always want to get a better deal. And imports, would make you think that, oh, it's way cheaper. But now, like probably 6 years down the line, if in plant collecting, getting something in person that's acclimated by a local grower for a few weeks or months is probably going to save you, that 20% less that you would have paid if you imported, and, the risk of the plant being in shock after an import. E- Yeah, I would say that if you could get it locally, get it locally. Only if you really have to import it, and like I guess the cost is super cheap compared to getting it locally, then that's something that I would consider. Also, like, with importing, you have to consider a lot of things. Like the plants don't often bounce back as beautiful as they are published online, and it takes so much effort. Like during COVID, my friend and I imported a lot of Hoyas. We were bidding like crazy on eBay, and then I would receive the plants for both of us, and then start like, nursing them back to health. However, like at a certain point, like you think that the plants are okay, but because they're Hoyas, or they're finicky Hoyas to be specific, then they would just like end up dying. So sometimes it's not worth it. Right
yeah,
now, I would rather like get an established, fully rooted plant that I don't have to stress about. Like after I receive it, like giving it a little bit of sunlight and water, after a few days it should perk up perfectly. However, like I still like a good challenge by importing plants. Sometimes, my thrifty self would still really
yeah,
want to feel.
right. Uh, with that, do you ever go to the kill rack at the big box stores and bring home a plant that you have to resuscitate?
I used to before, but now I honestly don't anymore.
Yeah,
Because I feel like, the intent of me saving a plant would take an emotional toll in me after if I don't end up reviving it. So
yeah,
waste the money, and two, like the plant still goes to plant heaven anyways, and then the trauma of like going through a plant death, sometimes it's not worth it. I want to set myself up for success by getting a healthy plant in the beginning. That way it could tolerate a little bit of my neglect, a little bit of my overwatering, and my helicopter plant parenting. So hopefully it'll survive and thrive.
Right. Um, is there a plant that you've killed numerous times and continue to buy because you see it again and you're like, oh, I'm gonna make this one work?
I tried 3 times with the philodendron verrucosum. Yeah, the third one was a success, but after a few months, like it still died. It died because it fell from a ledge and then it broke into many pieces, and then
Gosh, I hate
was
that.
not interested on like restarting it again.
Yeah, yeah.
What else? Like succulents, I love string of hearts. Like people thought that all I grew was string of hearts circa 2018, 2020. But in the last few years, when I moved here to the Bay Area, like those string of hearts just don't thrive as much as they used to thrive in Monterey in the Central Coast. Like they would get mealy bugs, and they would just like my friend gave me this full basket of Ceropedia Silver Glory, which used to be like very rare, and we had
Right.
to import from Europe before, and it was like a full basket. It was a full basket for a few months, and then like a mealybug got to it, and then in like 2 3 weeks, done. So
Uh,
yeah, like I now could say that sometimes plants don't thrive not just because of you, but also the environment you're in. Because they
yeah.
used to thrive where I used to live, and I was doing nothing special. And then now, like just the microclimate per se, like my watering habits are the same. I am the same like plant parent, the way that I am. Like sometimes I'm overbearing and sometimes I neglect you completely. But it's just the environment. So
Yeah.
just be too hard on yourself, I guess. And if you really love that plant, just keep on trying.
Yeah,
Eventually, it'll
for
thrive.
sure. You have an outdoor space to do gardening?
Just a little balcony, like how, like probably 5 by 12.
Yeah.
And that's all the little outdoor space that I have now. I used to have more, and that's where I could just throw a lot of succulents outside. The cactus would just thrive.
Yeah.
And now it takes more effort to keep them alive. But yeah, I mean, that's why I couldn't really get rid of my succulent and cacti collection because I really had a lot before moving here. And I do love my weird plants. They are pretty interesting as well. And yes, very low maintenance compared to the tropical plants that I also grow.
Do you have any other planty content creators that you admire and really like to uh, see their content and follow?
Yeah, I do admire a lot, and I probably already follow them on Instagram. Like, if I like anthuriums, I have, my go-to anthurium influencers, and I still like the weird ones. I follow a lot of plant content creators overseas as well. Once I like your content, be it like your plants or your art, I wouldn't hesitate to like click the follow button.
Yeah.
Sometimes, it just takes a while that, you like the way that the algorithm is right now, it's just really weird. Like because before when I used to follow someone, I would consistently see their feed, but now even when you follow someone and I
Yeah,
guess
it's
not
true.
post often or the algorithm doesn't favor them, like you don't see their content. So and you have to like manually look them up. But yeah, I have my go-to,
Yeah.
friends. I like to see what others collect, and also like I like to live through other people as well. Like their the plants that thrive naturally in their care. I just like admiring the plants, and I won't hesitate to say like, "Wow, this is so beautiful." Like I like to give them that credit per se.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about the you said that you started off and got known for plant family photos. So
Yeah.
tell me a little bit about this because I've not seen this content yet. I don't believe your uh,
Well,
on your account.
yeah. Well, I because back then people would post just one plant in one photo. And then now that we have the carousel post, you could like post different angles and stuff. And before, I used to like say I had like a snake plant collection, or I had like 20 of them at the time, and I would put them all in terracotta pots, and I would prop them up in my staircase like as if they were taking like a graduation photo, and take a photo of them. And then I also did that with my cacti collection. I started pairing this Mexico made head planters that are made by Planta Planta, specifically paired with certain types of cacti. And I did collaborate with Shirley's Simple Shelving. She gave me like a shelving system that mimicked a little ladder, so I don't have to like carry 100 plants in my front door, put them back after the end of the day after I'm done taking photos. So that's how
Yeah.
um I I guess like I focus on the plant family portraits. Sometimes I would like make themed photos. I would carry all my string of hearts because that's the thing with me. When I want something, I want them all. So I had like string of hearts, like the variegated normal ones, and even have like 2 or 3 pots of them. And I would put them in like a little ledge and take photos of them while they're all trailing. Or sometimes, when I feel like I could put in more effort, I would put them in little like small stools with different layers, and then I would pair them with like a pampas stem in the background, put them all in like rattan baskets or rattan plant stands, and make them like look boho per se, and then
I
have
love
my
this.
cat or two like sit in front of the picture. That's how I used to do stuff. Like now, I'm like, okay, let's change up our content and
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
do less effort, because back then I had more time to like carry plants around and clean up after myself. But now I'm like, okay, let now my principle is let's make sure that wherever the plants are, they're already like Instagrammable, so I could just
Right,
take a
right.
moving them. Like matter of fact, I rarely like take my plants to the sink or to the rest bathroom to shower them. I just water them in place. My poor plants don't get a shower like that often.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you have a collection like that, and it looks like you're doing pretty well. I mean, the plants look
Thank you.
gorgeous, gorgeous. You have a humidifier that you're using? No, no
Not
humidifier.
anymore. Yeah. So yeah, I used to, and then like now I try to grow stuff in ambient humidity. But I do have like my clutches, or my apothecary jars. The plants that like high humidity. I mean, I'm like, oh. But honestly, like I'm 90% convinced at this point that I want an IKEA cabinet.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't have one?
No,
No.
I don't have the humidifier anymore. I still have my grow lights, but no, zero humidifier.
Wow, that's so awesome because like so many people think you need all of these things to start, and you don't. Like
No, and
just
that's my thing. Like I like to spend my money on like making my collection beautiful, but I want them to be low maintenance. Like yes, I would buy like a nice pretty planter for this one, but that means I have to acclimate my plant to survive without a humidifier on 24/7. Like now with the digital age, like it's easier to monitor humidity. There are humidifiers that will automatically turn on if your humidity drops at a certain level. I still have my humidity meters. Like
yeah.
don't like to use them anymore because like before when in our old house we had like hardwood floors, and I wouldn't be scared of mold or stuff even though it was an old 80s rental condo. But now yes, we live in a more modern building with but like the rooms have carpet, and I'm scared to like have
Yeah, yeah.
mold in them, so no humidifier. Yes, I did have like humidifiers for certain pictures or for a few months because I thought it looked cute with a little foggy effect. But on a,
Yeah.
on a normal day, like I wouldn't want to like have humidifiers in the house because they're a
Yeah.
task to maintain and to clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to keep those humidifiers clean because
Hmm.
you're right. It could be a disaster of mold. Disaster.
How about you?
Um,
Your
what
plant just all outdoors, or do you all?
for me,
Mm-hmm.
my plants, I have like this plant room that was filled. I got obsessed when my husband and I got married, and then we moved in together. And then I got obsessed with like I need every little thing, like variegated this, and they just
Uh-huh.
like all started to die slowly because we did this renovation and we
Mhm.
enclosed it. So before the patio was open with all the humidity, and in
Mhm.
Florida, no matter what, they have the screen protection for the
Mhm.
UV. So like the light diminished like almost 80%. It was insane.
Mm.
So now I have it all with grow lights, but the minute anything looks kind of like I throw it in the miracle garden, I call
Yeah.
it, in my backyard. And because it's in Florida, I mean,
Mhm.
there's anthuriums out there,
Yeah.
syngonium, like philodendron, like anything,
Mhm.
orchids living in the palm trees, which is so cool. But yeah, like I think too, like you said, like now that I've been in it for a little bit, like I want those plants that I know are going to be hardy and that I know that I can take care of. Like the Billy, like that's something that I think that I would invest in because
Mhm.
my regular Billy is just gorgeous, and it's a
Mhm.
strong plant. I think that's something that I would, you know, invest in to get a
Yeah.
variegated Billy. Because like even this Aria, like I had bought in the elbow, an Aria, a
Mhm.
tie all at the same time, spent a lot of money, and they all just died a fast death. So yeah, so that's why too I'm like, I need to figure out uh the best situation for living in Florida and the medium, but I put this in leca
Mhm.
with these naked root, and like I said, when I pulled it out, there was roots everywhere.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I'm mostly now that it's so nice outside, I'm like, all these plants can just uh
Yeah.
planted out there. But I know my husband was like, "There's not a lot of plants in here anymore." I'm like, "I know. I've
Mhm.
been I've been planting
Yeah.
them all in the backyard, but it's so fun because they grow." I put a variegated banana that was probably like this big
Mhm.
2 weeks ago, and it's now 5 feet. It's insane. I'm like, how did this grow so fast out here? But
You're
I
gonna
know,
have variegated banana fruit someday too, right?
I know. I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the thing in the Philippines, we didn't have plants in our houses. Honestly, in our house and in my grandmother's house, all her plants were outside. Like, yeah,
yeah,
you could see them through the window, but we didn't grow them indoors. Like now that, I guess the liking of into plants like has evolved. Like people live in apartments now and they have to bring their plants in. But yeah, for me, I am used to like the Florida weather where I toss them outside. I end up that's why I am an overwatering person because my mom would always say like, "Oh, water the plants. It's already 4 p.m." and I would just like turn on the hose and hose all the plants down every day or every other day, because that's how they are. They
yeah,
thrive in tropical humidity. Now that they're inside, like that's why I don't like to see soil because the moment I see dry soil that I guess like is ingrained in me like oh the plants need watering and I end up like watering them every 3 days and I'm like oh no this is not gonna work.
yeah, yeah. The other thing I was going to ask you about is fertilizing. Are you fertilizing on a regular basis?
Yes.
Yeah,
I like to fertilize all throughout the year in diluted amounts though. So I know a lot of people just say like oh hold off don't fertilize during winter but for me I like to incorporate that in my watering like all throughout the year, just diluted because I feel like that's effective for me. I tend to like switch up the type of fertilizing formula now though. Before
yeah,
it all used to be just like, the balanced fertilizer, but now I am more conscious that oh, these are my Hoyas. I need to use the one that will promote flowering with a different NPK level, or
yeah,
these are like my leafy plants, so I would want ones that will um prioritize foliage and encourage growth and stuff like that. So now I'm more conscious of the type of fertilizer, but I fertilize all throughout the year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're under grow lights, so the plant doesn't know
Hmm.
it's winter. It's under a
Yeah,
grow light. So,
true.
of course,
Yeah.
I hear this all the time too, like, oh, you shouldn't. And I'm just like, well, why though? Because the plant really thinks that it's not, you know, the plant doesn't know it's winter. It's
Hmm.
under this grow light every day. So,
Yeah.
have you used the GT grow technology?
No, but I think I've seen a lot of people use them. Is that what you use?
Yeah, it's so nice, and they have the reason why I asked because they have like targeted like orchid, um, and then
Like the
all sorts of all
one?
sorts of genius, and then they have like this root zone, a cloning solution, and that's what
Mm,
I had that
that,
monstera
that,
in.
mm,
Yeah, and it's worked really well. So might look into that. They just really started to launch in the US. They're Australian, but I've seen it on a couple people's stories and stuff. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this, and
mhm.
it's been so good. So I ended up getting the root zone as well. So yeah. Um, is there anything coming up that you'd like the viewers to know about? And
Yes, like the collaborations. I'm grateful that there are opportunities every now and then. Of course, we're powering through summer. That's my type of content. Like I did a lot of AI last year, and I just recently started them again when the mech stuff came up, and then that has really like inspired me to like put out more stuff that just in my head. So I'd like to post the rest of what I have. Hopefully, the rest of this month. In June, there should be more projects. I'm trying to revive my YouTube account. I only post like unboxing videos there because I like to talk. As you probably noticed, we've been talking a lot. And for me, long form videos, that's like whenever I do chores or something, I like listen to podcasts or not, if even if they're not podcasts, but I treat them like podcasts.
right.
And yeah, I also like, hearing plenty podcast content. That's why I agreed to do this because I'm like, yeah, it might help someone. It also like allows people to see how I see things as well. And like, I get to ask questions. I get to be asked questions. It's always so interactive. At one point, I always feel like, sometimes I feel like my Instagram is over curated because I'm conscious of like, oh, it might not be beautiful and they might not, like this. But sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna show them all the messy boxes in the hallway because people think that, oh, it's always so beautiful. No, it's not. Took me like probably 4 months to clean up half of this room, and that's why I spent 7 hours today because it's all that accumulated. Like, oh, I'm just gonna do it later, and then there's a box here and there. But yeah, just
I
stay
know my
tuned.
husband's like, why are you making such a huge mess to like film this one plant? And I'm like, I know, babe. I'm sorry. He's like, no, I don't. He's like, you cleaned up this one space to film, and you created a whole mess in the other space, creating
Mhm.
this. And I'm like, I know. This is the life of a content creator. Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just, you know,
And that's why some people like think that, oh, it's easy. No, it's not. We probably just show the beautiful side, or like the side that we're probably not, let's say it might not be beautiful to others, but the side that we are like satisfied with. But they don't see the background, like the things that you have to push aside, or delay a little bit later just for you to accomplish that task. So yeah, thank you for like putting out your content. I appreciate you
thank you.
engaging on every post and sending giving me credit or appreciation whenever you appreciate content. So I really appreciate that.
Of course, of course. Well, what was your thought on the Met Gala?
I Now that I saw most, I feel like all the looks now, I agree with people. I agree that there are some like stunning looks that really hit the mark and you're like, "Oh yeah, that's beautiful." Especially the one with like the mechanical butterflies and then
Yeah.
It's just the models and the influencer dressing up based on, Haley Bailey, I believe
Yeah,
is her. She dressed up based on the theme, and then I guess some of the actors or actresses just relied on their status, and they didn't really.
yeah,
They lacked enthusiasm for me.
right.
Like if it was, and that's why I guess the ones that don't regularly attend the Met went, 100% and like fulfilled the brief because
Yeah,
that might be their only chance to be there. And that's what I appreciate. I like it when people go overboard. I like it when people put out very effort, a lot of effort to, show people. I mean, I'm not really a fan of subtlety. I like
right.
maximalism. I want to see your effort. I want to see
Yeah,
that you really wanted this. I wanted to I wanted to see that this is your chance to show people what you could do, and then go
yeah,
crazy. And how about
yeah.
you? What's your
Yeah, well, I worked the Met doing hair
Mm,
for a few years in New York when I was a hairstylist in New York. So I'm always my eyes are always on the
mhm,
first day of May. I was very underwhelmed because I just was like, I'm also turned into this epic plant person. So I was waiting for the
mhm,
bam, like it. This is the Met Gala. Like this is when you show out. You know,
mhm.
um, and I was just kind of, okay,
Yeah.
but it's a great a great gala since it raises so much money. Like New Yorkers get to attend the Met for free, like if you're a
Mhm.
New Yorker. So it does raise a lot of great money, but come on, Anna, let's, let's turn it up a notch a little bit.
And I
Yeah.
really, now that we're talking about your expertise, like I really thought that the hair was kind of like tamed. I'm
Yeah.
expecting go all out crazy with the hair, like, or maybe I'm just expecting a little bit more like what a drag queen would do. But I'm like, that's where
Right, right.
act and drag would meet,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, and there was no statement hair really at all that
Mm.
I had seen.
Yeah, not that I recall, no.
Tell us where everyone can find you on Planty social media.
Well, actually, all of my social account handle is at Cyril Cybernated. That's on Facebook, Instagram. I do have TikTok as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining me. This was so much fun.
As-
And shout out to all the moms. Happy
Yeah,
Mother's Day.
happy
No matter
Mother.
if you're a plant mama, fur mama, or biological mama, just
Yeah,
wish you all a happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much, buddy. It was so nice talking to you.
yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me again, Wade. And
Of course.
let's continue to connect. And I hope everybody shares the plant love every time that they could do that.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Hi, plant people. Thank you so much for tuning in to the 12th episode of the Plants by Wade Lee podcast. Cyril's such a cool guy, huh? I had so much fun plant chatting with him. Make sure to follow him on all of his social medias at Cyril Cybernated. Next week, for the 13th episode, we are going to be doing a small planty business spotlight with Danisha from Green Thumb Plant Co. I met her at my first plant swap here in Duval. We had such a fun conversation. You don't want to miss that. Be kind to yourself and others. And if you want that plant, buy that plant. Until next week, planty friends. Bye-bye.